Yeah, here we are. So, hi guys. Nice to. I don't actually see everyone, but nice to see everyone here. Really an exciting topic for me as well. I like thinking about it, speaking about it. So we're going to touch storytelling. My plan is to work something like about an hour. It might take a little bit more because I planned a short exercise in the end, and because it's a storytelling exercise, who knows how much time it's going to take, but at least I'm confident I will be able to give you the framework in time. So even those who will not be able to participate until the end, you will be well equipped before we finish. So this is the topic. Let me say a few words about myself. So who is this guy on the stage? Although I understand with some of you we're already familiar. So I'm Yury, 23 years in corporate training. I was blessed to work in big and interesting companies like PwC, Abbott, Teva. I worked in Deloitte here in Israel as an HR tech consultant. I worked with clusters of countries. So my internal clients and external clients were sitting from Singapore in the east to United States and Chile in the west, and United States and Chile in the east. I was once delivering a training in not in English, but in Latin America. So I don't speak Spanish, so I was delivering actually training in Spanish there. I had to use a simultaneous translation. That was my first experience there like this. I hold CIPD associate certification. This is United Kingdom HR certification. I was working for my own training consulting company prior to making Aliyah several years ago. And after making Aliyah, I'm trying to continue this path. Currently, I hold a position of head of technical training center, unit training. I'm going to mention it in a moment. I want to promote it once you're here. And what else? I'm father of two. One kid is already 22 years old, so he's not a child anymore, hopefully. And one is 7 years old. He's in school. I'm wind addicted. So if you go on a windy day to somewhere near the sea, you probably will see these guys surfing with kites. I might be one of them. And here is how one of my vacations looked like, although it's not Israel, it's somewhere in the north. This is actually me there on the beach, although that could be everyone who said, yeah, this is me, by the way. So I do like this kind of sport activities. That's me. Now that's unit training, professional training center. So what we do here, I'm actually sitting here. This is a physical office in the center of Tel Aviv, historical building named Migdal Shalom. It was one of the first skyscrapers in Tel Aviv. And we rent several rooms here. We have a computer room for actual classes. What we deliver here, we provide tests in order to obtain Microsoft, Amazon, Cisco, HP, and other vendor certifications. I also provide here mock interviews and career consultations. I'm thinking about English for high-tech course, also like that. But the initial focus of the company is the technical courses like data analytics, starting from Excel and to big data tools. I'm launching Python course soon. We're also thinking about Gen AI tools and bots and Excel for entrepreneurs, like not for analytics, but for those people who actually need to do something on their knees, as we say, like really with minimal efforts, but still using the technology. And finally, we also provide some training for kids based on Lego, and we also think about algorithmical thinking and so on. So this is a comprehensive technical learning center. If you if you find yourself somewhere in Tel Aviv, give me a call. I will be happy to greet you here and show you our amenities. So welcome. Now let's get back to our topic. Why it's important, why I wanted to raise this topic, and I think why you joined. From ancient times, the storytelling skill was actually the first skill which allowed the earlier people to transmit information, to educate, to influence somehow. And it actually emerged before writing and reading did. So it was the first form of influencing. It was the first form of transferring the knowledge. There were no newspapers, no books, no speech, but there was already some kind of storytelling with these pictures, as you may see, and with some people trying to explain what's there and why it's important. Why it's important nowadays, I think the strong story has much more influencing power than any argument, because it touches our emotions, it touches something very deep inside our souls, exactly because it came from the ancient times. It's not always conscious ones. We don't always understand why, but it works, and it works very strongly on a very strong level. Now, once we heard the story and we had these emotions, our memory will keep this for a longer time compared to something we read in a book or something we got as a ready argument, like as something for the latter part of our brain. Finally, what's interesting for me, outcomes or conclusions, when you listen to a story, when you're thinking about it, outcomes or conclusions, they frequently appear directly in your mind. They are not told to you by the person who is a storyteller, but you think about it and you say, okay, here's my takeaway, here is what I think, here is why. And then you consider it as if it were your own thoughts and not something provided to you by the other party. So it appeared in your head, it influences you much more than the external source of information, and it stays with you for a longer time. That's why I think it's important. And where we can use it in sales, we can use it in negotiations, we can use it in family, we can use it everywhere, absolutely. When we need to influence, when we need to transfer knowledge, when we need to persuade other people to do something. Now, how we do it, how it actually works. The first way, I'm going to stop on several ones. So the first way is actually, let's imagine ourselves. There will be, by the way, an interesting event. I think in 2 weeks there will be a star show. Like all the stars will be in a certain order, and some people will go to desert to see those. So let's imagine these people came there. They have a fireplace, and what they do there, they basically talk, and we can expect them that they will be telling stories. How this happens, probably no one has really prepared to this. Something came out to my mind, I just start, and then I go with the flow. So this is like a natural way to tell a story to friends, to families, to someone you talk with, without too much of preliminary planning or preparation. You just go with this flow. Having said this, we know that some people, like we call it by nature, they are nice storytellers. It's interesting to hear to them. And some people, we call them boring. It's too many details. It's not interesting to listen to it. So still there is some kind of mastery in that. Anyway, this is the kind of the natural way to tell a story. Now, in some occasions, it will appear like this. I will start a sentence, and I don't even know where it's going. I just hope I'll find it along the way. Definitely, this is not the best way to tell a story. And, far too often, to be honest, I find myself speaking like that. Like, if I lost consciousness, I talk with my friends, I'm having fun of this, and I'm a talkative person. I like to tell stories, I like to talk. And then I see like 30 minutes passed. Where am I? Why did I even start it to talk about this? It's a question. So might not be the best idea. What is the better idea? The better idea is to have it prepared. So I would call it the guided narrative. In this case, story would follow certain steps or structure to maintain both clarity and conciseness. What does it mean? It has a beginning, then it has certain points in the middle, and then it comes to the conclusion, like a train that passes through several stations, and you are sure in what time and what station to what station it will appear, and it will appear timely. There are many frameworks that can be used. One of them is now on the screen. So you have here an introduction, you need to do some hook there, then you have several body paragraphs, and finally you have a conclusion. I'm not going to stop about that. We had different topic for today. I wanted to talk about Gustav Freytag. But one popular framework, which I think might be familiar for you, and I think which is nice to know, and it's a important and famous within recruiters, because it helps to test their competencies of a person. So they call it STAR technique. And why it's called like that, it's an acronym. I think it was invented in 1980s somewhere in the United States by a company called, what was the name, MBI or something like that. And since that time it's widely used. Really, this is a good idea if you asked about how you showed your competency, or tell me about a case when, and then follows the question. It's really a good framework to talk about that. It will show a recruiter, basically they will try to find these steps in your speech. So what was the situation, then what tasks did you see, what exact actions did you do, and finally what was the result. If the result was positive, check mark, you have this competence checked. But let's leave it to recruiters. It's not something that I wanted to talk with you about. Anyway, this is a good framework. Now, what I wanted to cover is called Gustav Freytag's framework. Why we're talking about Gustav Freytag? It's very popular. Who is Gustav Freytag and why? He was a German novelist and writer. He lived in 19th century. He lived in Germany. And he's well known because he actually built this structure. We called it a pyramid of Gustav Freytag. He built its structure based on Greek classic drama, based on Shakespeare's work, and based on some, very classical stuff. What do we have? What do we have there? Again, it's very logical. So we have some kind of exposition. Then we have some incident, we have rising action, so something is going on, we get more and more excited, and the main hero is getting in more and more trouble, there is some pressure. Then we have some climax, so we have some fight, or we have some problem which is solved, and finally we have falling action, so we don't stop immediately, and finally we have the resolution. Okay, because it is so popular, so you may see but much of the works described with this scenario. So here is on the screen Romeo and Juliet exposition. We have street fight, and then Romeo and Juliet fall in love. This is rising action, and then we have climax. Romeo kills Tybalt, then Romeo learns of Juliet's death. This is already falling action, and finally we have the ending. They can be Harry Potter. I'm not going to read it all aloud. We'll leave you the pleasure of reading Harry Potter. Those who didn't read, don't look at the end. Basically, lots of current fiction stories, they are written according to this template. So why don't we use it also? It's a good structure. But it's not always convenient for us in the business to think about, rising action, claim. Maybe we don't need all of this. So I took the effort and I updated it a little bit. So this is based on Gustav Freytag's framework, but tailored, adjusted to the business needs, adjusted to the business owner. So now I will later provide you with the link to Miroboard, but I would ask you to draw it somewhere. Just grab a pen or paper, or maybe take a picture of it so you have it in front of your eyes. So again, we start from context. We describe where we are or why we are there, what were the circumstances, etc. Then what was the problem, corresponds to the rising action. Then we have the action, corresponds to climax from Gustav Freytag framework. Actually, I did something, that's what I see, that's what happened, that's how it happened, so on. Then we have the resolution. This is analog of falling action. And finally, it wasn't there in Gustav Freytag's, but it was in some of the works that was based on that. In business, we definitely need to think about takeaways, what we need to think of, what's my thoughts about it, and so on and so forth. So this is the framework. Yeah, I wanted to draw it somewhere. Actually, let me share with you the Miroboard, and then I will come back to you so you can take notes, because I want to show you now a video, and when you will look at this video, I ask you to take some notes, and then let's talk about what did you see, what stages of this framework you were able to see that, okay? So a small exercise. So I want to share it. I will share it to chat, to Zoom chat. You should be able, just by clicking the link from the Zoom chat, to step into my motherboard. Let's see if it works. Yeah, some people succeeded. It's not a problem if you don't if you're not able to do that. Since we have a kind of short workshop, I didn't plan to use sophisticated technologies, but I thought if some people at least will be able to do so, this would be beneficial. And I hope you know how to work with the motherboard. I got you some post-it notes here. So what I plan to do, we will listen to the stories and we come back to it. I want to discuss, for example, that's the beginning. I frequently travel to distant places. I deliver seminars over there, and I've stayed in many hotels. That's the beginning of the speech of our author, of our speaker. Okay, let me get back to the presentation. I want to double check that you have the sound. Share. Okay, let's do it.
Hi, I'm Chris Hearn, the CEO and co-founder of Mercantile Capital Corporation. And today I want to tell you a short customer service story that I think will warm your heart as much as it has mine. And that's that about 6 weeks ago, during my kids' spring break, I was in Los Angeles on business. So we decided to send my wife and my 2 kids up to Amelia Island Plantation, to the Ritz-Carlton there. And they did what a lot of people do when they drive somewhere on vacation, which is they forgot to bring some of the stuff home. Well, what they left behind was my son's, effectively his teddy bear slash blanket. It's kind of one of these things, it's a combination with a little teddy bear head and a kind of a blanket. And he puts it on his pillow every night. He's had it there for, I don't know, since he was probably 1.5 years, 2 years old. He's 8 now. He'd hate me telling you this story just because he's kind of an athletic, cool kid, but hopefully one day he'll appreciate this. So what happened? Well, I came home, was putting him to bed the first night, and turns out we didn't have his Joshie. That's what he calls it. It's a giraffe. And he was inconsolable. And so I did what a lot of dads do when your son is inconsolable, which is I made up a big whopper, a big lie, and told him that surely Joshie just wanted to stay on the vacation for a few extra days and go play golf and hang by the pool and things like that. So I finally gave him to bed. He stops crying. I tell my wife what happens. She said, well, we just got a phone call. They found him in the laundry, which is great. So now I call up there and ask to speak to someone about this, to give them sort of my imaginative idea and see if they can actually do this. So I talked to Aaron at Loss Prevention Control, and I tell him what I told my son, and to see if he can actually do it. Well, a couple days later, in the mail, comes Joshie. Well, it doesn't just come with Joshie. He has a lot more to it. In fact, here's the first thing that we saw. Joshie gets a laminated card, the Ritz-Carlton, Loss Prevention. That was the first thing. Then we get a binder. Joshie, a photo of him right there on there at the Ritz, okay? So here's what's inside it, and this is where it really gets kind of fun. Hey, Riley, we just wanted to let you know that we found this little guy hanging around the pool and thought that you might recognize him. I thought this one was terrific because that was exactly one of my ideas. Put some sunglasses on Joshie and pretend like he hung by the pool. Joshie told us he was having a lot of fun with some new friends like Amelia the parrot, but missed his ride home with you. So there you go. Some friends and Amelia the parrot. Next one is one of my favorites. Joshie decided that since he was going to be at the hotel for a few more days that he would get in some much-needed relaxation. I love the cucumbers on a teddy bear. And second to last, after a day of relaxing, we asked Joshie if he would want to help us in the loss prevention office. Of course he said yes, so we made him an honorary LP officer, and he helped patrol the hotel and keep all the other guests safe. And that's just great, having him sit there and watch the monitors. And last, he even got to drive on the beach. After a day of helping, Joshie decided it was time to go home, so we thanked him for a job well done, and he jumped in a box and returned home to you. So, this is the little guy right here. This is Joshie. This is, I got to sneak him home actually tonight so my son doesn't know I filmed this video, because it's the kind of thing he thinks that I did this on purpose, which I technically did, but he'll appreciate more probably in 15 years. I think this was a great customer service thing that the Ritz-Carlton did at Amelia Island. I'm eternally grateful, my wife and I both are, to Aaron, the loss prevention office. We're definitely going to send this into Ritz-Carlton corporate, and I hope you share this nice little story about what people can do when they want to provide fanatical customer service. This is the kind of thing that we try and strive for here at Mercantile, and hopefully you do in your small business as well daily. So I hope you enjoy it. We'll get back to our regularly scheduled programming next time, but this was just one of those stories I had to share with you because it shows that sometimes when people go above and beyond the call of duty, just how magical they can make these things. So thanks again for watching, and I hope you'll share this with some people and make their day. Take care.
Isn't it cool? Isn't it cool, right? So I wanted to show you some pictures. Yeah, so this is the kind of a blanket combined with a toy, which was a favorite toy for his young kid. I think he mentioned like 5 or 6 years or 7 years, something like that. And then they lost it. They left it at the nice hotel. And they contacted hotel staff and asked if they can, they made a lie for this for the kid, like the Joshi decided to stay a few more days, so could you help us to to make this lie come true? Could you help us to play with it a little bit? And surprisingly for me, it's a kind of surprise, the hotel staff didn't reply like, we're busy, but they actually played this game and did it to certain to certain extent. So they sent them several pictures. This is Joshi having massage with cucumbers on his eyes. I would like to be on his place, I guess. Probably somebody else as well. So my question to you, I want to ask, first of all, what's your, I want to switch off actually the screen. What are your thoughts after you have heard the story? I hope you were able to hear it well. So what do you think about, what comes to your mind? Let's share a little bit. Please go on, Lena.
So I heard this story before, I think about another toy, but it doesn't matter because this is a great story about customer experience and customer service. Because after the story, when you will pick up the hotel and okay, you have Ritz-Carlton or I don't know, any other hotel and the price is similar, but you will get this story in your mind and you will pick Ritz-Carlton because they care. It's just because we care, that's all. And I think the effort they took to make these pictures is much less than to do same kind of PR company because like people will share this story. People will tell it like fun
Exactly.
or whatever, like, oh my God, they are crazy, they did a massage for teddy bear, but still
Yeah.
they will talk about it. And they will get free PR, like it's crazy. And also they knew maybe, I don't know if they knew the guy who will tell this story by himself, like he broadcasted really
Yeah, I guess they
broad.
knew a little bit. Yeah, I guess they knew about the guy, so maybe that was part of the efforts. Anyway, it is a great story.
Yeah.
I think I couldn't say more and better than Yelena, you did. Thanks for that. Absolutely great story of customer service. I think it would be rather boring for us all to look at, a commercial of a hotel. We have nice this, we have nice pool, I don't know, we have something, but this is fun to listen to the story. It made us, smile, maybe laugh a little bit. And this is fun to tell with your friends. Like, I've heard this happened. Hopefully we will also remember the name of the hotel, but anyway. This is actually the way how do we influence people. Like now that we heard the story, what I have in my mind is they do have very nice customer service in Ritz-Carlton. Maybe not only there, but definitely in Ritz-Carlton. Will they do an extra mile to help the customers feel good? Definitely. This is how they do it. This is exactly the example. It's not just extra mile. They actually did some creative stuff there. So this is not like a regular duties, which we assume they also do, with certain quality. So this is exactly how it works. I wanted to use the story to illustrate our approach and why it's important. It's really, I absolutely agree with Yelena. She said it's much easier actually to use this kind of creativity, and it's cheaper. You know, how much does it cost to record, to create a nice commercial? It's expensive stuff, you know, and this was done like for them it was kind of free, like they made some service, but then they didn't bother to do it. And I think it's like more than 10 years that it's let's call it commercial is in the air. Okay, now I want to get back to my model. Let's try to, you know, to play with it a little bit. And I want to go to my board. So let's try, you can either switch your microphone or you can go to your board, to our board, and just type there. Let's try to fill it out. So what do we have in the context? I will do it, and please switch in and feel free to contribute. So there is a guy, I think he's a business trainer, or there is he's head of some consulting company, as I understand. So that was maybe one of the reasons that he was that easy to reach to these people. So he frequently travels. There was a family trip, right? Family trip, and then the problem arose. What was the problem? They lost. He didn't, by the way, he didn't tell anything about the hotel itself, right? Like it was nice there, that's it. They forgot the kids' toy in the hotel, toy/blanket, toy/blanket in the hotel. Now, yeah, thanks. He tell the fiction, yeah, he tell like, how did he say, whooper. He invented the story, he made up the story for his kid, right? And what else? He approached the hotel staff. Approached the hotel staff. And then they made some pictures. I think it's already resolution, right? So I'll move it here. And if we're thinking about takeaways, they do have an excellent customer service at Ritz, an exclamation. I think that's the point. And they will definitely go extra mile. For their customer, right? So this is the kind of takeaway, and this is how it looks like. So I was trying to, you know, to separate the pieces from the story. Thanks for assisting for that. Was it prepared, or was it a go with the flow? I think it was prepared. I'm not sure this guy who was in the video, who was filmed in the video, he actually followed any kind of technique or framework whatsoever, but maybe he was just naturally following it. And we may see here how it actually works. So he actually provided us some context, not too much, otherwise it would be boring for us. Then he mentioned the problem, and we say, yeah, wow, that was a wow moment. Probably there were lots of crying, and you know, if it was my kid, probably I wouldn't bother even to, like, it's impossible to do something like, sorry, we lost, maybe we'll buy a new one. But he actually made an effort, and the hotel staff made an effort. So that was the action. And then it's already falling action, because we already know what happened, but we are enjoying the results. We are seeing the outcomes. We are seeing how it works. Finally, we have our aha moments, our takeaways. So they do have this customer service. So that's the model. I hope you're enjoying it. That's basically something that I wanted to share. Now it was the kind of the easier part for us all, like to hear the model. Now I suggest we try to play with it a little bit and maybe even build our stories based on that. And my first question will be, how do we actually build that? So Preparation is important. I actually heard it from one of my managers, who was a great guy. He told me, by failing to prepare, you're preparing to fail. Later, several years later, I found out that it was actually not his words, but actually words of Benjamin Franklin. But anyway, that was good. Yeah, and Benjamin Franklin is famous for us because he's on $100 banknote. So we want our stories to be prepared. Why do we want it? How much time do we have to tell a story? I'm not sure you noticed it, but this story that we saw right now, it was about 5 minutes. It wasn't too long. It wasn't too short. We do have short time frame. And as a speaker, I frequently speak in front of a public audience. I spoke on the TV. I recorded courses. I know I can share that the shorter time frame you have, the more difficult it is to get prepared. If you have 2 hours, one day, you can go with the flow. Really, you can, enjoy seamless conversation with your listeners. But if you have 30 seconds, if we're talking about elevator speech, for example, you have like 30 seconds to shoot. If it's not prepared, you're not going to succeed. In this case, we have 3 to 5 minutes. So that's the continuation of a good story. It's kind of boring for us to listen for longer, for longer time. So it has to be prepared. Why? Because it should go through all the steps, and the information that we give in each of the steps should be, from one side, it should be sufficient, like it should be too less of not enough of information. And from the other side, it should be too much. Otherwise, it would take too much time. So, question to you, and please write in chat. From which, like we're thinking of a story, we have these 5 areas or steps, let's call it, from which you would like to start preparation of your story. What do you think you should take in mind when you are starting to prepare the story? Question to everyone. So problem, right? Elena, okay. Accepted, problem, go to your audience. So everyone, or takeaway, okay. So we have 3 votes for problems so far. Depends on my goals. Problem is quite close. Resolution, okay. Why resolution is important? Anna, if you can switch on your microphone, I would appreciate it.
Sure, because I think because the audience has to understand what they will get from that, first of all, like, and you should understand what you will give to the audience, more like the message of the talk.
Okay, thanks for that. Can you start storytelling with resolution of a problem? It won't be interesting. That's the point in this rising action, climax, and then falling action. If you start from the end, if you start falling, like imagine you're reading a book, Sherlock Holmes, and you opening it and you see, yeah, the killer is that one. It's not interesting anymore. Like, you don't want to read all the book. You're like you're looking into a movie and you know the end. Like, yeah, it's quick, but you didn't enjoy it. Go on, Elena.
I would pause here because there is also this kind of workflow as like Wicked movies that was filmed recently, was shown recently, when they start with the end of story, the Wicked Witch is dead, but then they ask if, like, how people become wicked. Are they born or are they like made like this during their lifetime? And then they tell the story. And even if we know that she will die in the end, and actually it gives like a special hints during the story when she sings the song about, I would like all the Oz to speak about me on the country, and we know they will, but it will be because of her death, and it will give some extra to the story. So it's also
like
kind
a hook,
of possible,
right?
but not always. Yeah.
Okay, like a hook. What I hear you say is like,
Yeah.
we can provide a hook. Like, we know that 50% of presentations fail because of this. This is the resolution, the takeaway. So let's talk about it, and we plan to get the people's attention. Okay, my advice, it's not 100% working, it's not always, you don't have to follow it all the time, but my advice is actually to start with what Alexei wrote, with takeaway. So why is that? Because we want to plan it. We want to know what emotions, what ideas will arise in the mind of our listeners. We want to understand what's happening with them and with what takeaways they will go away. We plan all the story for it. So it's kind of good idea to start thinking from it. Okay, I have another hand. I'm not sure about the pronunciation, Pivov.
No, it's Anastasia actually. It's
Okay,
just
Anastasia.
the part of my
Fine.
last name.
Okay.
Returning, going back to resolution, I was wondering if we can start with a question about the resolution. I mean, do you want to know how I helped a small startup gain $300,000 in 2 months? And then you start, and then you proceed with a problem, action, takeaways, and resolution.
It can be. What I'm referring to is how to make your story. I'm not sure interesting is the best word here. How to make it thrilling. Like if you're using this hook, yeah, you can use. This is one of the techniques. You don't always have to do it. If you want to emphasize, for example, some specific techniques that you used within your work, so maybe you won't start from it. You would like to show the problem, the size of this problem, why it was important, what it would meant for the company if it wouldn't be solved, why it was important to solve, and so on. And after it, you end up with giving the result. So for me, it's like that. Now, if we start from, yeah.
Sorry, I also have one more question. Can we use storytelling when we are approaching potential employers, which do not have opened positions, for example?
Definitely.
We use storytelling
to sell yourself. I think it's a powerful tool for selling whatsoever, and looking for employment is somewhat selling of us. It's actually a good technique to get attention. If you're approaching someone, let's say LinkedIn, if you're approaching someone in a networking event, after you say, I'm Anastasia, this is my experience, I was working here and there, yeah, it's a good idea to tell something interesting, again, which will be kept in their memory, which will raise their emotions, maybe make them laugh a little bit, and understand, wow, that was a cool lady I met. She did all of this. Well, that's interesting. Maybe I don't need such employee, such partner at the moment, but at least I will keep it maybe in my mind. Maybe I will tell about her to somebody else, and so on and so on. So yeah, this is a good technique. I would recommend it for networking events. One tip here, it should be quite short. So you most probably won't have more than like 3 minutes to tell it.
How many sentences? Or are we talking about the time?
I'm talking about the time. So when it's prepared, just use the timer on your phone and just try to record it. Actually, this is a technique to train. Try to record it, try to listen to it, and then you'll see. It's actually interesting. Try to record it, and then I think it's both Android phones and iOS and Apple devices. They now have voice recognition installed, so you may recognize and put it into written format and try to read it. It's actually a good exercise. Usually you will see, wow, there's a bunch of water there. That's definitely not every word is needed. Like there was something, and that's might be too much. Okay, I wanted to change. 1 minute about 100 words added by Konstantin. So 3 minutes is like 300 words. It's really not much. Okay, so if we start from takeaways, the second would be resolution. Why resolution? Yeah, how did we come to it? How did I solve the question? How did I solve the issue? It's not how we tell the story, but this is how we prepare it, okay? Then definitely the problem. This is the most important, like what was the problem, why it was big enough, or why it was important for me to talk about it, to solve it. Then the action, And finally, the context. Not experienced storytellers, they used to create the story as they tell it from beginning, and they would definitely spend too much time in context. I was there, I did this, I had these circumstances, there was nice weather around me, and by the time these 3 minutes are over, we didn't provide any good information. So it's actually a good idea to start, as Stephen Covey recommends, by the way. I think it's the first skill of highly effective people. Begin with the end in mind. Yeah, begin with what you're trying to achieve. Begin with what takeaways they want to bring it, and then design your story based on these takeaways that you want to achieve. Okay. We have about 20 minutes of our planned time, so let's try to do a short simulation. So what I'm suppose we can do. This is the question. We have by now, I think I heard like 13 people, excluding me, it's 12 people. So we have by now more than 10 people. It's not necessary that everyone will speak, but I hope that we will have 2 or maybe 3 speakers. And the question is, think about a moment when your heart felt warm because you saw your work or action change the life of the other person for the better. While you're thinking, maybe someone has this story. It's a skill again, and somebody is already, possesses it already. Somebody probably not. So while you're thinking, I can tell you my short story. Then connect with your group. I will split you into 3 or 2 groups. I will ask you, the storyteller, to tell the story, and please use maybe 5-6 minutes, not more. And then I will ask the group to provide a little bit of feedback. What kind of feedback? How to make it more compelling? What was nice and what was could be improved? Maybe where you were too wordy and what important details you missed. So let's try it as a rehearsal. Okay, a short story of mine. After I came to Israel, it took me more than half a year, about 8 months actually, to find my first professional job. I finally entered Deloitte as a HR tech consultant, which is over, by the way. After 1 year and a little bit more, my position was quit there because the project ended. That I was sorry. But anyway, I decided that I want to share this experience with others. And I was a participant of Gwahim course. I was a client of some career consultants, but I decided that, I'm a good speaker. I can approach to Russian speaking audience, and I can provide courses of my own free of charge. I made several posts in the Pumpkin Latte. More than 200 people appeared. Some 600 people are now in my Telegram chat. By the way, those who are interested in this, I will also invite you to this. And some of the people, they succeeded, not because of me, but because some of my advice really helped them to proceed. It's not easy. It's really a different world when you're making Aliyah, when you're making, you're going to a new country. It's new culture. It's a new culture of, talking about your work, talking about your achievements even. And for some people it helped. So that actually warms my heart. I did help to these people. And I'm not sure what kind of takeaway I was planned. That was not really well planned. I'm sorry. Okay, so drop a message in chat, those people who want to share your stories, not to big group, but to smaller groups. If we have any, I hope we do have some. We have Elena, who should be timely, as she has like 15 minutes, right? Somebody else? 1, 2, 3. Okay, Elena, so I guess the stage will be yours, then let's not split into groups, not a big deal. And what else? 2 others. Let's try to follow the framework that I showed. You have it in your board. I hope you have it open. Okay, maybe you want me to show as well. Yeah, here it is. Stage is yours. Go ahead.
Hi. I was thinking about like small story from my professional experience, and my takeaway is about me as professional. So once me and my boss were meeting people in the airport, our partners from Spain arrived. There were two guys. One we were already familiar, and another was his boss. They just arrived meeting with us in China. And then, okay, we met, everything fine. We are going to the car, and his boss get a call. And he's speaking, and then he's like, I need to write something down, but I have nothing. And then I take out the pen and notepad from my bag and gave it to him. He spoke, he wrote down his information, and then he said, this was very nice from you. And another guy from Spain said, yeah, this is Elena. I told you about her. She's always prepared.
Okay, cool. Now, my question to others, thanks, Yulia. It seems it was quite good prepared, right?
Just right now,
no?
when you were
Okay.
speaking, I thought about it.
Okay, cool. So my question to others, what are your thoughts now? What are your takeaways? What would you think? What would be your like follow-up thoughts about this story? Let's share. Yeah, Anastasia, please.
I like the story, but maybe I would add a little bit more details to it.
Okay.
But generally, it was good.
Besides, you liked
Thank
it.
you.
What are your like? What do you think about Elena as a professional?
About Elena or about your story?
About Elena as a professional, I think that was the point, like to show some kind of
As
professional
I
attitude.
understood, Elena is very empathetic and well prepared, empathetic
Yeah,
person, and
cool.
she's as she told, she is always prepared.
Cool. Yeah. She's always prepared. She's helpful, probably. We have in chat, Lena is always prepared. A bit more context. I'm not sure. For me, it was enough of context. Like there was a guy, he needed something, he didn't ask for it. She happened to have something handy, and she took care about him, first of all, but she was like, maybe by chance, maybe by a good preparation, so she was prepared to that. Not by chance, right? Yeah, this one probably you could.
I also would add that she, I don't know how to say it right in English, она не растерялась в ситуации.
Didn't lose
Thank
herself.
you.
I don't know.
Oh, didn't
Yeah,
lose herself. Okay,
didn't got embarrassed. Не смутилась, да. Yeah, absolutely. And was trying to be helpful. For some people, it's very natural. For some people, again, is a skill to be helpful, right? And this is something we appreciate in other people. To provide services where when you are around and nobody even asks for it, but you know it's needed. This is again the attitude. Maybe one other thing that would come into my mind is she has definitely an attitude, like a client service attitude. If I would consider for some service role, client service role, definitely this would be a good story. Somebody else we have?
I can.
Sergey, can?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Shoot it.
Hi, everybody. I have just a small funny story. You know, for a long time, I was laughing on my friend. He was in the trip in Great Britain, and suddenly he lost his way, and he.
Oh, we lost you now. After lost his way, and then we didn't hear anything. And I guess
He lost his way.
Okay.
He lost his way somewhere in the heart of the Great Britain, and he saw the policeman and asked him, "Excuse me, sir, do you speak English?" And in the Great Britain, and of course, and I was laughing all the time. He said, "Are you crazy? What are you talking about?" And you know, when I repatriated to Israel, and we are learning all the time all these phrases in Hebrew, "Slicha, ani ole chadash, ani lo medaber ivrit," and I saw my two of my neighbors, and I decided to ask them. It was them, and I understood that two of them, one man, one woman. Okay, and as I came to them and asked, "Slicha, boker tov, atem מדברים עברית?" I wanted to say Anglit or Rusit, but I said Ivrit, and they was shocked, looked at me and said, "Can
Yeah. Lama.
Mama?" אני
Why you
מדבר
ask?
עברית. Why are you asking us? Oh, I'm sorry, סליחה, maybe do you speak English? You say yes. And I think that the conclusion of my short story is that don't laugh on somebody because it could be
Because they could have done a mistake or could have. Okay, got you. I think we're losing your microphone. One interesting point, I wanted to stop on it, about takeaways. You're now muted. Sergey, if you wanted to finish with something, please go ahead.
No, I think that's all.
Okay. One interesting point about takeaways is that even if you don't it's actually two ways how you handle this. So you may provide it, and in the stories that we saw in the video, it was provided to us that they would go extra mile, these are nice people, blah, blah, blah. But let's say he would stop on it. Like he would say, yeah, my kid got so excited. I'm so much happy to, that I was able to receive it. That's a brilliant idea. And yeah, thanks for that. Even if he didn't say, yeah, that was great example of service provided by Ritz-Carlton, still this idea would appear in our mind, right? So that's very interesting. Even if if the story is well prepared, and if the story is actually describing the needed skill, the needed takeaway, the needed attitude, something we illustrate really well, you don't have to do summary in the end because it's kind of obvious, because it's already, and this summary it sticks to your mind better than a marketing commercial. It just stays there, it appears there, and it just stays there. I think it was the case with Elena's story. She didn't say lots of in the last part, lots about summary, about why it was important, what does it show. Yeah, it was obvious. Maybe this is exactly the way how it should work in the job interviews, if we're talking about this. If we're talking about marketing, like the storytelling for marketing, again, we should not do overselling, like this is why it's important, this is how it works, this is why it's so cool. Sometimes we do need to tell a story that my client, they had this problem, this is how we solved it, that's it. And the summary, the takeaways will appear automatically in the mind of your customer. Okay, that's more or less it that I wanted to cover for this short conversation. Do you have any questions? Let me know. Do you have any stories to tell? Do you have anything in mind? Let me know. While you are still here, I want to introduce you to Continue. So what I'm planning to do here, I'm just still in the process of launching business here at Unit Training. So I'm thinking about a storytelling lab with one full day of immersion into working with your stories, creating, polishing, practicing, talking about it. I don't have a given date yet, but if you're interested, stay tuned. There is my LinkedIn. I will definitely mention it there. You have my contacts. What else? I will provide you with our forgot the word. Yeah, now that I have more than 2 languages in my mind, it becomes sometimes tricky. So we have a corporate Facebook, so I may put it there. Then storytelling, presentation, other communication skills. Mostly I deliver in the corporate format because it's kind of difficult to navigate the open groups. But I plan to have some time after time events. I think I didn't mention, or I did mention it here. We have office space here, so it might be a evening of a working day. You can come after work and, you know, have some tea and have some conversation about some soft skill. And finally, if you have some stories to polish, I'm mostly addressing now to those people who work in probably sales, customer success roles, maybe like this. So I'm at your disposal to help to improve it, to fix it. You can see my LinkedIn and QR code, which leads to that in the screen. And that's it. Those who were not able to join, they will receive a recording. Also, you will receive a recording. One thing, I'm trying to spin my social networks. That was the word I forgot. So social networks for this company. So I will ask you to go to our social network page and check the recording from there. I just needed to, you know, to appear somewhere in the digital space. So thanks for that. Thanks for joining. I will be doing some other events. Yep.
Let's say it's kind of story where we will tell the problem and then ask, like, will it still be counted as storytelling if we will tell some problem to people and then don't tell them how did we resolve it? Just ask their opinion to engage them more.
And what is the purpose of that?
Engagement, storytelling, like we can tell how we solved it in the end. After, people will tell their ideas, and
okay.
it can be also interesting, like what they would do, and they will be more engaged in the story, not just listeners, but like if there was some kind of story where there could be different.
Yeah, why not? I would call it rather a facilitation technique. So the storytelling for me is somewhat more like straightforward. You have a prepared story, you have it somewhere in your pockets. By the way, this is my device for job seekers. Before you go to a job interview, you need to understand what kind of soft skills is what are required at this position, what kind of competences might be checked with you, and do prepare the story for each of their competences that might be required. And definitely STAR methodology should be your choice. So do prepare the story. In this case, you shouldn't have this facilitation techniques that Elena just mentioned, but just shoot it whenever it's needed. It will be effective way to show off your competences. But if you're talking near the campfire, if we're talking with friends, if you have maybe slightly more time than this 3 to 5 minutes on the networking event or during job interview, then actually what Elena described is a method of engaging your participants, you know, involving them into your conversation, which actually works very nice. So if you have this time, if you have the space for it, definitely you can use it. But and this is like another dimension of it. Like this is the actual managing the conversation flow. Storytelling is like just one way of just meaning. I have Anastasia.
Sorry, I will finish the.
May I comment quickly on Yelena before I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Before I'm leaving, okay. I think this advice is a little bit risky because when we suggest our employer to engage into presenting the resolution, I mean how he or she would resolve this problem, he might come up with a better solution than we did. And then you offer your solution, and your solution appears to be not very good, not very effective, and the employer would think, why should I hire this person if he or she doesn't offer as good solution as I did.
Yeah, it's. I guess it's not for the purpose of a job interview.
Yeah, I meant it for the social media. Where
social media is fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
For social media is how we call it, the technique when we ask like the fire starter. Yeah, so the technique where we actually trying to you know to get as many comments as possible. In this case, yeah, we may not tell the second part of the story until we get certain number of comments. That's it. Like, tell me, what do you think about it? What would be your guess, and so on. Like solving the puzzle. That's good. Yeah, one important thing about one other important thing about job interviews, I think you don't want your interviewer to feel not good, to feel embarrassed, to feel under pressure. Yeah, and when you're asking them, okay, how would you solve this? They are like, hey, I'm not in the job interview, you are. And this might be not the best technique. But for the friends, for, you know, for your Facebook post, maybe for your LinkedIn post, to bring attention to it and to show the system, it's very important that system show that you're actually interacting with people. Yeah, it can be a technique. It's cool. Okay, guys, yeah. Okay, guys, have a nice end of the evening. It was interesting meeting you. Hopefully, it was good for you as well. Please reach out to me whenever you are in central Tel Aviv, Nevetzedek area. Ping me. I'm here, so we might drink coffee. Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.